Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be talking about theories going forward for Stranger Things 4, 5. We're going to be talking about what's next. Stranger Things 3 premiered yesterday on Netflix, July 4th, 2019, which was my 20th birthday. If you have not already, go check out my spoiler and non-spoiler reviews, and I also posted a little video of like a compilation of clips I recorded while I was watching the show. It's not a reaction video, but it's more of a I just recorded these and felt like I needed to put them somewhere kind of thing. So that's that. If you have not seen season 3 of Stranger Things, please don't watch this video. Go watch my non-spoiler review. Check that out. Then go watch Stranger Things 3. And then we can talk about all of this together and you won't be really confused. Okay. So, I have obviously done a lot of talking about how I felt about the show after 24 hours, a little more than 24 hours digesting and kind of thinking about it more. I definitely have a lot of opinions on what they did with Stranger Things 3. I've gone on social media and saw many other opinions as well, and there's a lot out there, and so I know that a lot of people are panicking, specifically fans, about what's going to happen going forward because they feel that this season marked the end of a lot of storylines, which I don't feel is actually the case. So, what is next for Stranger Things? The first thing I think we definitely need to talk about, and this is an obvious thing, is we need to discuss the fact that Hopper is potentially still alive. Like there's no, it's confusing, and I know that it's confusing because they had that very emotional tribute at the end of Hopper's speech that he had written for Mike and Al, and so that was very emotional, and that's like I think the biggest combatant to this theory. But in the end credit scene when the Russians say the American is in the cell, what else would that mean? Because it's definitely not. There's the chance that it could be Brenner. There's always the chance that it could be Dr. Brenner from season 1. But I think that tease is strategically placed after we think Hopper's dead. I think that that is there in that specific spot for a reason. And obviously we have to talk about the Russians a little bit more, but this particular thing that I'm talking about is whether or not Hopper is still alive. I don't believe that his story arc is finished, and I think that if he is still alive, that provides a great excuse for the Byers to move back into Hawkins, which obviously I really want. So it's just something to think about. I don't think the Duffers have said on multiple occasions that if it's a major character, they wouldn't have them die off of the screen. Like, they would die on screen, we would see it. And we didn't see it with Dr. Brenner, and therefore they said he's such a major character that he would die on screen. Hopper's death would have been shown on screen. Even if he got disintegrated, I feel like they at least would have shown him being hit, you know? They didn't show anything. They showed Joyce and him exchanging a look, and then that was it. And then he was gone the next time, and there weren't ashes or like bones or any like melted human remains like there were for the other soldiers. There was nothing. And that leads me to believe that two things could have happened. Hopper could have run into the Upside Down, like through the gate, or he could have gotten out some other way, or been like taken by the commies in the process of trying to get out. There's no clear-cut thing, and obviously this is something that we're going to find out a lot more about in the future, but I do not believe, I refuse to believe that he is dead. I just don't think his story was at its end. His story arc was not complete, and they've shown a big emphasis on completing story arcs before a character dies. For example, Bob Newby. He had his hero moment, and then he died. And then Hop, I just don't think, like, yes, he got the date with Joyce, but he didn't, like, they didn't actually get the date. Like, it wasn't Jopper. Like, she just agreed to go out with him. Jopper hasn't happened, and that's something that they've been building towards. So I just, there's more to Hopper's story, and I don't think he's dead. So if they do confirm he's dead at some point, that will break my heart, but I don't think he's dead. I don't. Okay, next thing we need to talk about, obviously, because you guys know that I'm like the biggest Will Byers fan ever, I need to talk about the Byers and Elle, because Elle is currently living with the Byers, and obviously, as we saw at the end of season 3, they moved out of Hawkins, which completely broke my heart, and I was sobbing, like fully sobbing. It was awful, and I love that house so much, so I really hope that one day we return to that house. The Byers, if they move back to Hawkins, they move into that house. It'd be perfect for Elle, because it's distantly removed from the rest of the town, as they've said many times, and therefore it would be perfect if they're still trying to hide Elle away a little bit. It'd be great. So that's my hope, except there's not a bedroom for her, which would be an issue. Unless Jonathan is going to college. It's complicated. Anyway, yeah, I just care about that house so much. It's like iconic. We saw it with the Christmas lights, then we saw it trashed with the all the drawings in season 2, and in this season we saw it completely empty. And so next season we need to see it again. Like, it's a staple. It's like a thing. They've talked about it on Beyond Stranger Things, that every season they have to do something crazy to that house. And maybe next season we'll see everyone, like the new people's furniture in that house. Maybe that'll be it, and that'll look really weird. Like, maybe they made it all gaudy or something. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. But the main thing I want to talk about is that the Byers and Elle are still in the show. 11, as much as I think, like, you guys know I love the Byers family, and I believe that they're some of the most important characters in the show. I think Will Byers is equally as important as 11, and that's my opinion, as well as Joyce, and they're so important. But let's be honest, the main draw for most people when watching Stranger Things is 11 and her storyline. She is most people's favorite character, and they are not going to write her out of the show, and they can't write her back into the show without bringing the Byers back in with her. And I trust the Duffer Brothers, that they know, and Sean Levy and everyone who works in the show, they know how important the Byers family is, and they just can't write them out. They just can't. Like, I'm in complete denial that they would ever do something like that, because they're just too important, and their stories are too intertwined with everyone else's, and they're so important. And I would love to see, going forward, Elle acting, like being an active member of their family, like her having like a sibling bond with Will. That'd be so cute. And with Jonathan as well, and Joyce just being an absolute mother to her. That would be so adorable, especially because Elle didn't really get that, you know? And next season, I think that it will be a circumstance when they're visiting Hawkins, or they're back in Hawkins. And if Hopper is still alive, that provides a perfect excuse for them to move back into town. So that's what I think is going on. And really, one other thing is that I really think they need to pay off Will's story from this season, because Will Byers in the first 2 seasons had a story that was drastically kind of plot heavy and intertwined with the Upside Down. Like, the plot kind of thrust a storyline upon Will, because in the first season, obviously, the plot revolved around finding Will, and in the second season, it was like the possession of Will Byers. And in this season, thankfully, he finally got to not be a victim, but he still had a lot going on, as you guys know. He was able to still sense the Mind Flayer's presence, which I think is so cool. But another thing, and this is what's really cool, is he had his own given personal storyline, and that's the fact that he's abandoned by his friends because they all have girlfriends, or Dustin's away, and then Dustin has a girlfriend, and then when everyone's finally like back and together, they still don't want to be kids or hang out or do anything anymore, and he just given the fact that his childhood was stripped away from him by being abducted by a monster into another dimension, and then having to go through all the PTSD and trauma that resulted in that for the next year, and then being possessed and having to deal with the PTSD and trauma from that as well for the next year. The poor kid just wants to have a fun summer and, you know, hang out with his friends, and they all want to do other things and talk about girls. And as it is confirmed in this season, Will does not like girls. His story kind of built and built and built in this season until episode 3, when he destroyed kind of his childhood safe haven, Castle Byers, and this was like this is a complete breakdown for Will. And then right after that happens, he feels it a third time. He feels the mind flayer a third time, and then the plot gets going. And then he starts to shut down conversations every single time someone tries to bring up the fight he had with Mike, or just like how angry he was. He shuts it down. Or if anyone tries to bring up drama in their friend group, he shuts it down. He's like, no, we need to talk about the mind flayer. We're focused on the mind flayer. And so Will, I think, is another reason. Like, he kind of shut down his own storyline, but I think a big reason why they did that is because going forward, that story is going to continue. I think Will has a lot of growing up to do and a lot of things to learn about himself. I don't think they forgot. The writers did not decide to stop this. They pushed it forward. They sent it to the next season because I think what's beautiful about Will's storyline is because he's so involved in the plot every time, they've been able to stretch it across seasons, and I think that's just what they're going to continue to do. So don't be worried, Will stands. Everything will be okay. It's not over. Will's story is going to continue. Just because they moved away does not mean that any of the Byers family is done with their story. These story arcs are not complete. Joyce's story arc is not complete. Will's isn't. I don't know about Jonathan. I don't even know what Jonathan's story arc is, if now that I think about it. Like, I think Jonathan could go for a story arc, actually. And you know what I think? What the Byers family needs is to have Lonnie reintroduced into Stranger Things. Because there's a lot of open wounds that have not been healed. And I think Jonathan, as referenced in season 2, has a little, like, that needs to be, I don't know, addressed. And I think Will and Lonnie really need to be on screen together. I think that's something I think we've been robbed of, because in season 1, Lonnie constantly talks about Will in like he's talked about talking about Will in such a bad way, and you can tell they have a rough relationship. And we've gotten Billy and his father's rough relationship, and we've seen how much it's shaped Billy's behavior. It doesn't provide an excuse for it, but how it's shaped it. And that's happened to Will too, and so I think it'd be really cool to see Lonnie in the picture, just even for a scene or two going forward. Just have him reintroduced. That would be very interesting given Joyce's storyline and Hopper's storyline, because Lonnie was awful. I think they need to pay off these storylines. And let me also say something. If they pay off the storyline specifically for Will, because I'm not worried about Elle's storyline being done off screen. I'm not worried about any of the other storylines being done off screen. I'm worried about Will, because they did confirm his sexuality in this season, but they cannot have him come in next season and be like completely, they can't resolve storylines off screen. That's a big no-no. Hard no, especially a main character. And I'm talking main character, as an original he is like in the party, main character. Story cannot be resolved off screen, and this is another reason why the Byers are coming back. It's okay, don't worry. And so another thing that I think we need to talk about going forward is that there cannot be any more main characters. Stranger Things needs to just like chill out, just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. I know it's fun to introduce new characters, and a lot of people love the characters like Robin. They did an amazing job introducing Robin this season. She was so much fun. I absolutely loved her. I think she was a fan favorite. But Stranger Things needs to just stop for a moment, because they have 15 main characters. That's a lot of main characters, and they have to give them all time. Like, they have to give Karen, and I'm talking everyone in the opening credits. Those are main character. Like, a season regular, I would say, is a main character. But I would say that even some of those people are not necessarily main characters. Like, I don't know if I would consider Karen Wheeler a main character, but Cara Bono, her name has been in the opening credits since season 1. So she's a main character. She's a season regular, so they're always going to give her time on screen and a story on screen, like a storyline. Season 1, it was just being a mother, I don't know, like mother stuff. Season 2, it was just being completely fed up with Ted and feeling kind of unfulfilled and like you always saw her drinking wine or like alcohol. And then season 3, obviously she had her Billy thing, and then like choosing her family and stuff over whatever the heck she was gonna do with Billy. So that's like her, that's her thing. And so they have so many characters now that they need to focus on, and honestly it's getting very overwhelming, because the core characters, I would say, like the party, the 4 boys, Max and 11, and then the 3 teens, because now Billy has passed on, Nancy, Jonathan, and Steve, the teens, and now we have Robin, so I guess 4 teens, and then the adults, so Joyce and Hopper. And Murray Bauman has been a presence too, but he's not a series regular, so I wouldn't consider him a main character. And then it's also fun to give other characters screen time, like Mr. Clark and stuff. So we have all those characters, and now they've also introduced Erica and introduced her as being a nerd, and she's also gotten Will Byers' like Dungeons and Dragons thing, which I'm not sure how to feel about. But, and I love Erica, and she's so cute. I think they need to balance her sass with being mean. She like was a little aggressive in season 3, and she's so cute. But if they give her and her like friend group, as we saw, their entire storyline too, then it's going to be way too crowded. So they can continue with the Scoops troupe. They can work Erica in some way. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard having, because now they can't undo her being a series regular. So, and I don't want them to, but I don't know, like she needs to fit into the plot, and she doesn't have like her own age group as a set like group to be with. So I don't know where they're gonna put her going forward. I don't necessarily want Scoops Troop Part 2, because I want Dustin to spend time with his friend group too, which I didn't think we didn't get like literally any of in season 3. And this is also really good. It's really good from a marketing campaign, and they always do a really good job of it. When the response for a Stranger Things season leans in a certain direction, they lean into it. Justice for Barb resulted in a storyline getting justice for Barb. And then everyone loving Dustin and Steve in season 2 resulted in Dustin and Steve and them loving Erica in season 2 resulted in Dustin and Steve and Erica mixed with Robin having their own, like, and they got so much screen time. It was very heavy on the Scoops Troop, and it was also very heavy on Chopper. And so going forward, if they continue with those groups, then are we ever going to see Dustin with his friends again? And then, so what am I even talking about? I don't even remember. Oh, so I'm talking about balancing main characters. They can't introduce anyone else. There's already way too many people. You have 15 characters that you, and if, say, okay, let's take out Karen Wheeler, because she has kind of a self-explanatory, like, she has a predictable kind of, you kind of have an idea of what Karen's going to do every season, because she doesn't know about the Upside Down. She's not in the loop. So take out Karen. You have 14 main characters. 14 that are heavy in the plot. And that's, you have to give screen time and storylines and character arcs to all of those characters. They can't introduce more people. It's too much. And if they bring back Dr. Brenner, that's a whole nother, that's 15. So they need to figure that out going forward. But I don't think they should introduce any more main characters. Just take a break from that for one season and focus on completing some character arcs, or just like furthering character arcs that they already have. I think that would be a very good idea. That'd be very strong, and I think it would result in a lot less upset fans, because Tumblr is like the place where like all the truth comes out. And I think what makes people the most angry about every season is if their character, their favorite character, didn't get enough development or whatever. So, and that's what it seems like so far a lot of people feel upset about regarding their characters in season 3. And so I think having so many characters, and in season 3 they're also having to introduce a lot of characters, that proved to be a problem for some storylines. I think like just some characters didn't get the development or focus that everyone wanted them to, and so they should refrain from introducing more characters. And I talked about characters for like I think a good 10 minutes, so I'm sorry about that. I'll have to edit that. Okay. Another route they can take going forward, or that they should take, is they need to talk about the numbers. I don't know when they're gonna do this because they have the whole Russian thing going on right now, but I think endgame is they do need to reintroduce the numbers. They need to reintroduce Kali and Dr. Brenner. I think Dr. Brenner would come in when Hawkins Lab takes, like, the history of Hawkins Lab takes the forefront again. Oh, and I love how they went to Hawkins Lab in this season. I forgot to talk about that. But I'm so hungry. I think because they've teased other numbers, I think it would be really cool to bring them in, especially for a final battle. Thought that was maybe even a missed opportunity in season 3. So that's something that they could definitely do going forward, especially if the original purpose of Hawkins Lab was to, oh, I have a whole theory now. Just in like 3 seconds, I just thought of an entire theory. I want to make a whole video about that, but let's just say it has to do with Hawkins Lab and its dislike for Russia and the communists within the Cold War, and the Russians are now the enemy in Stranger Things. So I'm gonna make a video about that. That would be so much fun. So that's something that we need to talk about. And obviously if Hopper is there, then that gets everyone in Hawkins involved like that. So that's fun. That's a fun thing that they could do. I'm excited to hear what to do that. Okay, so, and then also one more thing, because I've talked about the Russians, and then if there are Russians still in Hawkins too, well, you know what, justice for Alexei, that's something we need. Okay, but sorry if my stomach is growling. I'm just realizing how hungry I am. I didn't have breakfast or lunch, and it's almost 3 o'clock. Okay, so one final thing that is important to think about going forward for Stranger Things is that video, that newsreel thing from the end of season 3, is that Hawkins is now like the site of conspiracy, and that very fabric, everything they mentioned in that video, could potentially just be like material they can use going forward for the show. They can really lean into that and talk about, explore Hawkins being like this paranormal, haunted, cursed place because of all the things that happen there. And so that would be really cool. And that intertwined with Hopper potentially being trapped in a cell with the Russians. And then the fact that the Russians have a Demogorgon, that's something we really need to talk about. So don't worry, guys. There's so much going forward and material we already have to think about regarding season 4 of Stranger Things. We have so much to get excited about. And regarding the characters, obviously, as I said, a lot of character arcs will be completed, and now we have more characters to talk about and to do fun things with. Like Robin, what if she got a relationship? That'd be very, very dangerous in the 80s in a small town, but it'd be cool, you know? And it's just, there's so many things they can do going forward. So Stranger Things fans, do not fret. Everything will be okay. I was kind of in a state of depression for a bit of a period yesterday because I could not stop worrying about what they would do going forward, especially with my favorite character. But it will all work out because they know what they're doing. By now, I'm sure, like, I think in the process of writing season 3, the creators of the show realized how they were gonna, like, what the direction they were going for 3, 4, and potentially 5. So we don't have to worry about that because they know what they're doing with these characters. The Byers moved away, but that doesn't mean they moved out of the script. You know what I mean? Like they're still there. So there's nothing to worry about. Everything will be okay. And we're about to enter an insanely long hiatus, and we're about to actually enter the most painful part, which is the time between when we get the season and when they start filming. Because when they start filming, that's when Stranger Things starts to A, release content, and B, we get set photos, like leaked set photos. So, and I don't want to like be a proponent of leaking photos because that could be a spoiler, but like as a fan, sometimes you're desperate. And the 1.5-year hiatus is always really painful. So, and we can talk about but we can use this painful period of time to make as many theories as we want, and none of them can be, they're boundless. boundless theories because there's nothing on season 4 to contradict, you know, anything. Like we could be like, the whole party dies in episode 1 and there would be nothing to combat that because there's no, like, other than common sense, but there's no there's no, like, you can do anything. This is the period of time where you can make up whatever story you want about Stranger Things going forward and completely have the most fun with it that you possibly can, and share them in the comments down below because I love to hear what your theories are. It's so much fun to talk about it with you guys. I love having these conversations. I love Stranger Things, and more content, more theories are coming. You guys do not need to worry. It's going to be so much fun. And yeah, and someone really wants me to do a like series of character studies for Stranger Things, and I think I would probably do not just Stranger Things characters, but I'd totally love to do that as well because my Will Byers one was so much fun and I love him, and there's so much to add after season 3, but I won't do it. Maybe at the end of season 4 I'll do an updated one, but there's just so much to talk about. So guys, let's have fun with it, okay? Stop freaking out. Everything will be okay. It'll be okay. And Stranger Things will always be my favorite show. Again, leave your comments down below. I want to hear all of your theories about what is next for Stranger Things. And oh, the one thing I didn't discuss. What season do I think it will take place in? I think it could be summer again. I really enjoyed it being set in the summer. But if not the summer, then maybe early spring, like February or something. But I hope it doesn't come out during my school year again, because I hope it doesn't come out during my birthday again. That was a little overwhelming. And I hope it doesn't come out during the school year because then I can't binge watch it. I have to, well, I can, depends on what your opinion is on binge watching it, but I can't watch it like I did this time all in a row. I had to like do it between classes and it was very broken up and scattered and that was so painful. So not that again, but I don't know, maybe Valentine's Day or New Year's or something. That'd be so cool. There's so many things they can do. And leave your thoughts down below what you guys think the next season is going to be. Like the season the show is airing in. Like when do you think that's going to be? That'd be so cool. And oh my god, I can just imagine the climax being when all the fireworks go off and like, oh, that'd be so cool. And then like a countdown during the climax, like the big battle. That'd be so much fun. Guys, leave your theories and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to see all of my coverage going forward for Stranger Things, because I promise I'm not done talking about it. All right, everyone. Have a good day, everyone. I just like messed up my outro by saying that. Okay. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.